You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Night Nation's only call-in show goes live now.
All right, hello Night Nation, this is Andrew Phegley. We're live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law, raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Give Chad a call at 407-599-9036 for a free consultation, or visit chadbarlaw.com. You can also call Travis Dever for all your new Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636. We're taking your calls, 844-580-WDBO, 844-580-9326, or you can use the open mic feature in the WDBO app. Like I said, I am Andrew Phegley. I've got Big Ben Stout here with me, who is at Big Social 32 on Twitter, and Roger Phipps from the Santa Rosa Beach Studios in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, at Night Bengal on Twitter. Also got Sam Take a Left at Albuquerque in the studio there. Hello, Sam. Good to have you back.
Good to be back. It's been a minute since I've been with you guys.
It has. It's crazy. Well, it's been a minute since we've done a show, because last week, obviously, we didn't do anything with the election and all that stuff. So we're back on Tuesday night talking about UCF Knights.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah. Roger, are you there?
I am, just hanging out doing a little storm watching up here in Santa Rosa Beach.
Yeah, it's you might get hit by that thing, huh? The crazy, it's like a drunk monkey or something running around.
Yeah,
out
2020 continues.
Yes.
Yeah, back and forth out there in the Gulf. It doesn't know where it's going. So, okay. So talking about UCF, obviously we have a game coming up this weekend, 7:30 p.m. on ESPNU, it looks like. Is what I'm reading right in front of me. Is that correct? I guess it is. ESPNU, better than ESPN Plus. I guess a lot of people were very upset that the game was on ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
I personally did not like the production of that last game. It was against Houston.
Right.
And I guess nowadays the American is kind of farming out the production of these things, or the school is responsible for the production. It was not good.
Yeah, I mean, we missed a lot of the we get used to certain things as viewers now for the last decade, but certainly over the last 5 years, and certain things like the first down line on the screen, and actually the camera following the ball on a certain play.
That's important.
Yeah, that's kind of important in order to watch
part,
a football game, and so there was a lot of that going on. Even little things like graphics being completely off, and it was just it wasn't a good first swing for us watching an ESPN Plus game.
Yeah, well, we won that game 44-21.
That was a good.
Thank goodness, especially after the situation with a few of our players, a few starters that we kind of probably need to talk about here. Very odd stuff happened a couple of weeks ago. Antoine Collier, number 3 safety on the team, got pulled over. Obviously, most of you have heard about this now. Had a gun in the car and was driving without a license. Eric Mitchell also had a gun in the car. On campus, they got pulled over. Not good when that happens. And consequently, Antoine Collier was arrested, and he's no longer on the team. Eric Mitchell's no longer on the team. Plus, a group of players that were following them from wherever they were coming from, the club or whatever. This is 2:30 in the morning or 2:45 in the morning, by the way. And so they were following them and got out and decided to yell at the police, which was the campus police, by the way, not Orlando or Orange County or anything like that. But they, a couple of the guys, Kenny Tournier and Randy Charlton, proceeded to just belittle the police and yell at them obscenities and everything else. So they're no longer on the team either. So with Kenny Turnier, Eric Mitchell, Antoine Collier, Randy Charlton, all starters, 2 defensive linemen, a linebacker, and a safety.
Right.
November 4th, Coach Heupel came out and said, as of today, there are some young men who are no longer part of our football program. Our team discipline is handled internally, so I'm not going to mention specific names, which we all know. We ensure these individuals have, we will ensure these individuals have ongoing access to academic and health services as we continue to support them in those areas, but they're not on the team.
Right.
And I'm just going to go out and say it. I 100% agree with this decision that the university, whoever, Josh Heupel, Danny White, whoever made the decision, I 100% agree with it. Just because this is not the way that we want our university to look like. We don't want our program to look like that. And this was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think the word that came to mind initially, and it still comes to mind for me about this situation, is just disappointing. It is a disappointing situation all around, and it also sad. I mean, in general, it's sad that these individuals took a situation which is a very heightened year, right? Like not beyond even just the concentration on the football team, but COVID being a part of it, and just the scrutiny on all of sports right now, and the scrutiny of college sports not to mess up with the extra wave of COVID. No, wave is the wrong word, but kind of the extra weight, I should say, of the COVID situation. And, I was a student athlete at UCF. I'm not going to say that I never went out, during the season, but to be driving back at 2:45 in the morning, the night before you're about to leave for game week, and with the extra thing of COVID on it, the testing that is involved with that, and putting your teammates and your team at risk of a game actually being canceled. I mean, there's just a lot more to these decisions that go into it, and then everything that happened after they got pulled over, some of the language that was put at these police officers that quite frankly do protect them during games,
and are the ones
and around, they know them.
They're the ones that are blocking cars from their buses being pulled.
Right?
Like,
they're escorting them to the airport,
around the campus. I mean, to the games. Like, these are the guys that literally have these football players' backs.
Right, and it's just a really unfortunate situation. Heupel had to do what he did, especially after the details were starting to release out of it. And they learn more of it, and I agree with you. I agree with Josh Heupel's decision. His hand was forced at that point.
If you want to see the body cam footage, I'm sure it's still there. All you have to do is search for it on nightnews.com, and it is there. You can see it for yourself. You can see why we are adamant about this being the correct thing to do. The other thing, it worked out, which was even weirder. So you're like, 4 players, 4 starters not playing. Antoine Collier, one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
Kenny Turnier, Randy Charlton. I mean, not a huge fan of Eric Mitchell, but anyway.
I mean, but Eric Mitchell was leading our team in tackles. He was definitely a contributor.
But yeah. I'm not a fan. But anyway, the fact that they didn't play, you would think, oh boy, what's going to happen? Before the game, I was like, oh wow, all these guys didn't make the trip. I didn't expect them to. There was a bunch of other players that were involved in this that didn't play as well, and it seems like a couple of those players have actually lost their starting spots. It seems like. We'll see coming up this week. But the defense played really well.
Yeah,
Roger, you can chime in here anytime. By the way,
but you guys were going right at it. But to your point about the whole situation. I mean, one, yes, it is an unfortunate situation. I want to point out that Antoine Collier did behave appropriately in the situation that he was in.
Yes.
I hope it works out for him in the long term.
He was the one guy. I'm sorry to interrupt, but he was the one guy in the whole thing that acted appropriately.
Yeah, I agree. And,
for the most part.
Folks that, and the folks that were belittling the police, to use your word. I mean, the police officers handled it well.
Worse word than that, but
yeah, I know. Those folks, I really, they need to realize that they're adults and that they're a representative of this university. And quite frankly, it frustrates me, and I'm using a light word on that they wouldn't realize that what kind of repercussions this has on the university. Not to mention, just from a reputational standpoint, but also, as Ben mentioned, the COVID measures that are in place. This week, we have 2 games in the AAC that are being postponed, right? So you've got...
Yeah, and Alabama LSU's not happening either because of COVID.
Wow.
That's a big game.
I actually didn't hear that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, folks have a responsibility to their teammates. They also have a responsibility to the university. No matter what you believe on the player benefits side of that conversation, they still... receive a scholarship, housing, food, specific COVID-related precautions that, by the way, is going to cost UCF over $2 million this year. And you're out there at the club or wherever you were, and you're not protecting your team, your players, the university's investment in you. And quite frankly, you're giving us a bad name. So 100% agree with the decision to separate and part ways. Do not want that in our locker room. There were some apologies that were put out there. I hope that those were coming from the right place, and I do wish them well in the future because we all make mistakes as kids, but 100% the right decision for UCF and the program. Yeah,
they're not kids anymore, though. These guys are adults. They're all over the age of 18. They're adults. They would be charged like adults. Antoine Collier is being charged like an adult. So you can't say that they were kids anymore. I don't like that. Sorry. I just don't agree with that part of it. The rest of it, obviously, I agree with. But they're not kids anymore. They're adults, and they should know how to act like adults. Josh Heupel really showed some guts with the way that he handled this. I think that people had been wanting him to with the way that things kind of had played out this year, were looking for him to step up and do something. This kind of gave him the ultimate opportunity to do that, and he made a statement by this.
Yeah, one of the things that one of the criticisms of Heupel is he disciplined enough to his players? Does he instoke discipline on his players? And certainly this, again, I think his hand was forced, but he had to make the move, and he ultimately made the right move by doing what he did. And it's an unfortunate situation all around, but certainly it worked out well in the following game.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We're going to talk about the game coming up on Saturday. We'll be right back on Knightline at Night.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, this is Andrew Phegley back on Knightline at Night, brought to you by Chad Barr Law, raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036 for a free consultation, or visit chadbarlaw.com, We're taking your calls if you want to call us. 844-580-9326. 844-580-9326. Or you can use the open mic feature on the WDBO app. We've got Big Ben Stout here with me, Roger Knight Bengal, and Sam Take a Left at Albuquerque. Sam, I wanted to go to you because I wanted to get your opinion about this this situation with the players and their activities and getting kicked off the team. You're an alumni. You have the right to speak as well.
Yeah, I think my tuition checks give me the right to have an opinion on the football team. You guys actually gave me some of this news. So I initially heard of the Antoine Collier news with the gun and him getting kicked off the team, along with 4 other players that Heupel didn't name, like you mentioned. But if you look on the roster, you could probably figure that out yourself. My first initial thought was that this is a bold thing to do for a guy that's never got this much criticism as a head football coach than this year. People have started the fire hype train. There's been that conversation around, and it makes me really think of, was this really Heupel's call or was this Danny White's call? Because I think Heupel has to consider his job at this point to make a decision to cut 4 or 5 starters in one go. Yeah, granted, this it makes sense, the decision. I don't disagree with it, but it's also something you have to think about practically with Heupel. His job could be on the line, and if Danny White, the AD, is telling him that that he has to do this, that's one thing. But if this is just Heupel's decision, it's really bold of him.
Yeah, well, yeah, I agree. It is bold, and I think that. I mean, I'm sure Danny White had something to say about it, but I wouldn't say that Josh Heupel is on the hot seat whatsoever. Yes, fans are upset with him, but I don't think the school is upset with him. I don't think Danny White is upset with him, and I don't think the majority of people that really are connected to the football program are really that upset with him. Yes, we've lost some games, but if you're playing the game of football, you lose every once in a while. We just got really lucky for 2 seasons and didn't lose a game.
Yeah.
And obviously, it seems like maybe there was some internal cancer with some of these players. It's amazing to me when you put a bunch of second stringers in and they play better than these starters that all got cut from the team.
Yeah, and I think some of the example that I talked about earlier about the heightened, attention on this season and them going out the night before they had to leave for an away game, I think that kind of shows that these players, and I'll just isolate that group for a second, not saying the entire team, but absolutely. I think that it shows that those players felt like they weren't necessarily going to get punished for something like this, or they weren't going to get caught or whatever. So there's a little bit of a feeling of it doesn't really matter out there. And by Heupel doing what he did, after all of the news and the body cam footage comes out and everything comes out in detail, and that stain on the program, Heupel had to do what he did to show the rest of the locker room that this is not going to be tolerated here at UCF. Because the national news that has been around, yes, national pundits are upset at our fans because we chirp a lot, but we can't chirp a lot when these types of negative things are out there beyond a loss or two in the season.
Yeah, and I think if there was a lack of respect for him in the locker room, if there possibly was, I think that there's not as much of a lack of respect anymore. I would think that would get a lot of kids' attention. Once you do this, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're a starter. It doesn't matter. You broke the rules. You did something stupid to make our university look bad, to make our team look bad, to make our program look bad. You're gone.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, head coaches get paid a lot of money, and a lot of the times when you get paid a lot of money and you're in that position of power, you got to make some difficult decisions. This was a difficult decision.
And
he said it was one of his hardest days as a head coach.
Yeah. And so does Danny White. This couldn't have been easy for him as well, with what the program means to him as well. So, okay, we got to take another little break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk probably maybe a little bit more about this, but I want to talk a lot more about the game coming up this weekend against Temple. We'll be back shortly. Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Knightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong, spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Knightline Sports Network.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
Alrighty, back on Knightline at Night. I am Andrew Phegley. We're live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barr Law, raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036 for a free consultation, or visit chadbarlaw.com. Call Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach real estate needs as well. He will hook you up in New Smyrna Beach if you're looking for a house. 386-690-1636. And you can call us, 844-580-9326. 844-580-9326. Again, I am Andrew Phegley. Got Big Ben Stout here with me, Roger Phipps from the Santa Rosa Beach studios, and Sam in the WDBO studios. Sam Take a Left at Albuquerque is his name. And you can find all the rest of our stuff on NightlineSports.com. And Sam, you have a show on NightlineSports.com. Tell us about it real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just my own, sports musings. I talk about pretty much everything from anything but college football to regular football. I have had Andrew on the show to talk about UCF and college football as a whole, but that's
what I was going to say. We've talked about some college football on there before.
I think that was probably the second time in my 37 episodes that I've talked college football. But a lot of basketball, a lot of football, some soccer every now and then. I did a big piece with my buddy Mike Tyrell about Manchester United. I'm going to dive in on the Miami Dolphins this week with my buddy Lewis.
Awesome. All right. Well, good show. So if you have a chance, go to nightlinesports.com or anywhere you find podcasts, and you can find all of our stuff. Sam's included as well, and it's a great show. Sam's a funny guy, so good stuff. All right, we're going to talk a little bit of, I guess we should probably say something about the Houston game, because I don't know if everybody had their full recap on the Houston game. So do you want to start there, Ben?
Well, yeah, it was a 44-21 win, and as you mentioned, we had a lot of young guys and players that needed to step up on defense, and they absolutely did. I think from start to finish on defense, they really held it together. I mean, they shut them out in the first half. The only points that they scored, Houston scored, was off of off of an offensive turnover from us. So really stepped up, played well, especially guys like Cam Good, Devad Wilson played fantastic, and the young freshman cornerback Corey Thornton. I thought he really stepped up and probably played one of his best games of the season. And I think overall, as a team, probably the most complete team win as a season, coming into it with some adversity and really stepped up.
Absolutely, yeah. Roger, you got anything on there?
681 yards of offense, people.
Number one offense in the entire country, number one quarterback, and number one wide receiver still.
Well, as of this week, he is down to Shane Buechele by 30 yards. So I think he'll make up for that this week.
He'll make up for that, yeah.
For
okay.
sure.
Well, still absolutely. Great game. Here's what Josh Heupel did have to say real quick about the young cornerbacks and the young players that stepped up.
Those guys have earned the right to take over those starting roles. I'm pleased with the way that they prepared, their competitive nature. They've played really well out on the islands, the last couple of weeks. When they've given up a play or had, a penalty may have been called, whatever it might have been, they've hit the reset button and refocused on the next play. They're only going to get better with every snap that they take. At the same time, I love the way that they're competing out on the perimeter.
All right, well, that's cool. The coach is happy with his young corners. Replaced two of them out there and a safety as well. So
Devontae Brown, that's the other corner that really showed out. He didn't. The advantage Thornton had was he actually got here in January, so he got here early. Devontae Brown had a real high side. They were really excited about him when they were recruiting him. They weren't expecting him to play. However, he's really turned it on since the Memphis game. So super excited about that. The other thing that is super exciting is our transfer finally got to play his first game. So he was playing dime. So we had him playing dime, and he seemed to show out, was very physical. Love to watch him play. So defensively, we played well. And then the other thing I'll say is offensively.
Wait, I just want to make sure you're talking about Devad Wilson, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that guy was all over the field. He was awesome, man. He really played great.
Yeah, he played dime and the nickel a little bit. I think we just call it the nickel in our defense. But
yeah, and then the other thing was the offensive line did really, really well. They gave up 6 sacks and they had that one fumble at the beginning, but by and large opened up wide holes for the running game. The running game really had its coming out party now that we had 3 healthy running backs, and they were moving the pile around. So that defensive line for Houston was highly touted, and they had a lot of tackles for a loss coming into this game. They played well. The one bright spot for them in the games that they lost. So that was going to be a tough matchup, and the offensive line played really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of running yards as well. More running yards, I think, really than anything else. So a lot of ground game, which was awesome to see. All right, we have Andrew from Oviedo on the phone. Let's hear what Andrew has to say. Andrew, our one and only caller most shows. Thank you, my friend. What's going on?
Hey guys, I know it's been a while. How you been doing?
We're great. Great to hear your voice again.
Absolutely.
We always love it when you call. What's going on, man?
Well, shifting gears to our opponent this week, I was reading up that Temple planned on using a dual quarterback system, more like the battle of the backups, it seems like, because I don't know if Russo's going to play or not. And I kind of was curious your guys' thoughts of how you think our defense is going to handle not only one but 2 quarterbacks we have never really have any film on.
Well, that's interesting. Somebody did say that in the press conference this week. They did mention that. I'm not sure who it is. If it's Russo, or I think it's one of them is Real Mitchell.
Right.
I'm not sure who the other one is. If it's not Anthony Russo, they have like 6 quarterbacks or 7 quarterbacks on their roster. 6, I think it is. I'm trying to count as I'm looking at it and talking, and that doesn't work for me. So.
Well, the other thing about the quarterbacks to remember is Russo was knocked out, but so was their backup quarterback, who was their transfer. He was knocked out in the SMU game, so we don't know if he's back or Russo's back. both the backup and Real are running quarterbacks, so they're mobile quarterbacks. So they know that they actually do have some game tape on both of them because Russo's been out for 2 weeks. However, at the end of the day, when you're looking at this, it's really going to be either Russo or Real, depending on if Russo comes back.
Yeah, Trad Beatty is the backup's name that got knocked out at SMU, and you're right. I don't believe he's going to be available this week, but it is looking like Russo potentially can play. So it's one of those two guys, Real or Russo. And Russo's had some big games against us, regardless of how well Temple's played against us. We kind of worked them last year in Philadelphia, but Russo has had some pretty big games against us since he's been there.
Yeah,
2018, 400 yards.
Yeah, that game when he was a freshman, that's one that really stands out to me as well.
Well, Russo leads their team with 863 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So
they've had a lot of issues this year with a delayed start to their practice and all that. So they've had less games, but by the same token, they're dealing with a lot of adversity with injuries, but. I think we should be able to handle them pretty well. I'll knock on wood as I say that.
Yeah, and I think that you have to prepare the same way for either guy. You just have to contain him as much as you can, and just try to contain him. That's
yeah.
I can say it. I don't know how many times, but I think that's the biggest thing is to contain either one of them. It doesn't matter. I'm sure one of them is different than the other and all that stuff, but I don't know enough I know who Russo is. I don't know who any of the rest of them are. So
right.
Hopefully that answers your question a little bit, Andrew. Thank you for calling, though. Really appreciate it.
Guys, I guess one parting thought is what coach on the defensive side do you think has had the biggest impact on improving our defense?
Wow. Man, that's a good question. Ben, do you want to take or Roger?
Well, I think it starts at the top, and I know that maybe you weren't thinking Randy Shannon would even be a part of this question, but I think he's certainly made the right adjustments with his staff and with his with how they handle certain situations. The last 2 games they've been excellent on defense.
Yeah,
but I don't know if he's talking about a specific coach like.
Yeah, I would say, and my mind is drawing a blank on our defensive line coach,
Shane Burnham.
Shane Burnham, thank you. Of course, that's why I was like, hey, Ben, because I couldn't think of the guy. I was trying to look it up really quick. Yeah, so I think that the defensive line has really done a pretty good job this year. They haven't been horrible. I think Burnham is very important. Willie Martinez, of course, the secondary coach as well. I think those are the 2 guys, besides Randy Shannon, obviously, that are doing the most work. I would say Shane Burnham, though, personally. Roger, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I was going to go Willie just because he had to put 2 freshman DBs back there, which means he's been developing them. But Burnham's definitely a close second, and here's the reason why. At the end of the day, we've had no depth there. We've done a lot of rotations there, and we lost more of our starters on the defensive line again. So between our challenges with defensive tackle and all of that, he's done in a defense like Randy has, which relies on pressure and uses a lot of single high coverage. That D-line is even more important, and they seem to be coming on at the right time. So kudos to him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Andrew, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Good to hear you again. Thank you very much for calling. All right. Take it easy. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Were you going to say something there, Sam?
I was just whispering in your ear that we had a couple minutes there.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying something. I thought you were saying something.
Well, what's your favorite matchup predictor for the Temple game there?
Well, the matchup predictor this week is looking pretty good for UCF. We're a 24-point favorite and a 90 on. This is the ESPN matchup predictor. 97.8 for UCF chance of winning. 2.2% chance of winning for Temple. And I agree.
Does it give you a
completely.
chance of actually playing? Because they're down to 50 players right now because of COVID.
Temple is?
Yeah.
Well,
they only have 50 on their travel team total that can play for this game. So if any more go out, that game is definitely in danger.
Yeah, I would think at this point, hopefully that's under control at least for this week, because the American already. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. Somebody said that they've postponed 2 games this week, or at least 1 game.
Right, at least one game.
Yeah.
And they've had a couple games themselves this season being postponed because of that. They've had a tough go at it.
I think was it Memphis and Navy?
Yeah, Navy's postponed this week.
Navy's got the corona, I guess, from what I understand.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that's not good. All right, we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back on Knightline at Night.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Knightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong. Spoiler alert! Until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Knightline Sports Network.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night. I'm Andrew Phegley, brought to you by Chad Bar Law. Got Big Ben Stout here with me, Roger Knight Bengal Phipps. I messed that up.
Am I in trouble? You call me by all 3 names.
Oh, boy. Okay, we're talking UCF. We're talking about UCF facing the Temple Owls at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU this week, live from the Bounce House. Roger, there's something special going to happen that we've wished for years and years and years during the game.
Yeah, super excited about this one. I'm a big space nut, so I've got my limited edition T-shirt around this one. The Crew 1 will be launching from the Cape. It's going to be launching by SpaceX is going to be launching the Crew 1 capsule. It'll be the first time that a commercial space flight includes astronauts from NASA. Remember, SpaceX has launched individuals that are SpaceX employees before, but this will be the first time that NASA astronauts launch on the capsule. So they're going to the ISS, and it'll be about 13 to 14 minutes after the game kickoff. You'll be able to see that, assuming the weather is good, but you'll be able to see that from the Bounce House. And I'm hoping they stop or take a timely TV timeout just to kind of watch it go up, because that's going to be super exciting to watch.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Those of you that don't know, the 50-yard line is exactly on the longitudinal line. I don't know what you call it, but it's exactly in line with the launch pad, basically, that they're going off of. So.
Yep, 39A. It's exactly on the longitudinal line. You had that right, with launch pad 39A, which SpaceX now rents with from NASA since the space shuttle program has gone away.
Okay, now you're nerding out a little bit there, my friend. Nerding out on a sports program. You went full on nerd on a sports program. It's all good, though. That's why we have you on here, just so we can make fun of you. It's all good. All right, so what about score predictions? We should probably do that because we don't have very much time.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I jump in real quick on hoops right before we do score
sure,
predictions?
Yeah.
We just we finally solidified our 2020-2021 our non-conference schedule this week, and so we have 2 home games in late November, one against Oklahoma, then against Auburn, and then we go on the road in early December at Michigan and at Florida State. Those are 4 teams. All 4 of them were looking like they were going to be right there. I mean, Auburn was in the top 10 for most of the season last year. I mean, these are really these are really high level of opponents in the non-conference. So I think it shows a lot of confidence that Dawkins has in his team. I just wanted to mention it. It's
awesome.
It's pretty exciting development. Yeah.
Thank you very much, because I wasn't paying attention to basketball yet. So I know you.
It's starting
you do
in a few
all the time.
weeks. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
All right, Roger, what's your score prediction for UCF against Temple?
Okay, I'm going to go with 56 to 21.
56-21. All right, Ben.
I'm not going to change it now. I literally wrote down 55-21. That's my score prediction as well, so I'm right on top of Roger.
All right, I'm going to say 63-14.
Wow.
Sam?
All right.
I'm going to keep it in the 40s. I'm going to go 49-20, because they haven't Temple hasn't given up more than 47 points this year. So I'm going to keep it in the 40s.
They haven't played UCF yet either.
They did play SMU,
24-point underdog they are. Over 60 or 76.5.
I'd pick UCF to cover, but I'm saying like 47, 48 to like 15, 16 points for Temple.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, There you go. I think you have to, if you win, if you bet on UCF for this game, you actually have to pay the casino. I think you're paying them if you lose an exorbitant amount of money. I don't know if that actually happens, but it should.
Don't get your betting advice from this show, guys.
Yeah, we're not a betting show, but it makes it look like that. Anyway, I know that's not how it works. I'm joking. That was a joke. Don't So there are tickets available, by the way, supposedly at the Bounce House for $29. So you can go on one of those things and buy that. All right, gotta go. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next week. Knightline at night.
Go Knights.